There is always a moment so brief, so silent, that it feels almost invisible. It's the instant someone calls you out, challenges your worth, questions your intentions, or throws an accusation in your direction. In that split second, most people instinctively do what they were conditioned to do their entire lives. They defend themselves. They rush to speak. They explain. They justify. Words spill out like a reflex. That's not what I meant. You misunderstood me. I swear that's not who I am. To the average person, this seems reasonable. It even feels honorable, fair. After all, if someone misjudges you, why wouldn't you clear things up? Why wouldn't you restore your name and make sure everyone sees your true self? But here's the brutal truth. In the arena of power, that instinct is your undoing. The moment you start defending yourself, you have already lost something vital. Why? Because the act of defense is an admission. It signals that you need to justify your existence, that their judgment holds enough weight to demand your energy. And in the game of perception, that is fatal. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this long before anyone else. He knew that power lives not in truth, but in perception. The second you react, the second you try to explain, you surrender control of the frame. You allow the accuser to dictate the rules of engagement. You step into their arena instead of forcing them into yours. And the one who plays on another person's field never controls the outcome. Defending yourself rarely convinces anyone. It doesn't clear your name. What it does is flip the balance of power so that you look like the one scrambling. And scrambling looks weak, because when you explain yourself, you admit, without saying it, that their opinion matters. You admit that they have the right to question you. You admit you care about their approval, and that, in the hierarchy of human dynamics, is blood in the water. The truth is, when most people defend themselves, they are chasing understanding. They believe if they can just clarify enough, people will see their true intent. If they can repeat themselves enough, they'll be vindicated. But that belief doesn't come from strength. It comes from emotional fragility. It comes from the need to be liked, to be seen as good, to be accepted. Here's what Machiavelli would tell you. Clarity is not power. Control is. Clarity belongs in therapy. Control belongs in the realm of power. And control does not come from being understood. It comes from being untouchable. It comes from being the person who does not flinch, who does not beg, who does not play the game of explanation. Think of the most powerful people you've ever encountered. They were not the loudest. They were not the ones spilling words in every confrontation. They were the ones who held silence like a blade, the ones who stared without blinking, the ones whose stillness made the room nervous. Because silence, when backed by presence, is not weakness. It is tension. It is weight. It forces the accuser to live with their own words and squirm beneath them. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. The one who explains submits. The moment you explain, you drop the mask of power and put yourself on trial. But the one who does not explain, the one who lets accusations die unanswered, creates a vacuum. And in that vacuum, the human mind does something strange. It fills the silence with strength, not weakness. People assume you must know something they don't. They assume you're too confident to bother. They assume you are above the noise. And that assumption is everything. Picture this. You walk into a room and someone takes a jab at you. Maybe it's subtle, maybe it's sharp. The whole table turns to you, waiting for a reaction. This is your test. Most people would panic. They would laugh nervously. They would explain. But the Machiavellian operator, he does nothing. No defense, no retort, no smirk. Just stillness, calm, composure. What happens next is almost predictable. People start to wonder, why didn't he respond? Does he not care? Is he too strong to bother? Did that attack just backfire? In that single moment, you flip the frame. Because people aren't focused on the insult anymore. They're focused on your reaction. And your silence just told them more than words ever could. It told them the attack didn't even register on your radar. And that makes you untouchable. But let's go deeper. Sometimes silence is not just the absence of words. It's the presence of control. It's the ability to let an attack hang in the air and rot. And when you do respond, you don't defend. You invert. Someone calls you arrogant. You smile faintly and say, "Strange how confidence makes people uncomfortable." Someone says you're manipulative. You reply, calm and cool. Only people who can't be influenced say that. Someone calls you fake. You say, people always say that when they stop getting what they want. You don't fight their words, you use their force against them. And suddenly, they're the ones scrambling to explain themselves. That is not defense, that is dominance. This doesn't only apply in person. In the digital world, the game accelerates. Someone calls you out online. They accuse you publicly. They expect outrage, a paragraph of explanation, a desperate attempt to clear your name. Instead, you give them nothing. Or worse for them, you distort. They say you're toxic. You post, people always call you dangerous when they can't control you. You didn't defend, you reframed. And now they look bitter while you look unshaken. That's narrative dominance. That's power. And here's the strange paradox. The less you defend yourself, the more people defend you. The more you explain, the lonelier you look. No one feels the urge to step in when you're already fighting your own battle. But when you hold your ground in silence, people start to feel that itch to speak for you. They say that was uncalled for. They say, why are you still going after him? He didn't even respond. Suddenly, you have an army you didn't summon, and that's leverage. This isn't just about reputation, it's about aura. The final stage of power is not silence alone. It's the presence that makes accusations evaporate before they land. It's an energy so composed, so certain, that people think twice before attacking because they know they'll lose before they start. This doesn't happen by accident. You build it brick by brick. You train yourself to stop flinching, to stop defending, to stop chasing approval. You build it by learning that every explanation chips away at your edge. Every defense pulls you into their frame. Every desperate attempt to clarify makes you predictable. And predictable people are easy to control. The misunderstood man is feared. The predictable man is not. Because predictability means your enemies know how to move you. Misunderstanding creates mystery, and mystery creates caution. That caution is power. People tread lightly around what they can't read, and that is your advantage. At the end of this road, something changes. You no longer live in defense, you live in definition. You no longer respond to noise. You command the tone of every room you enter, not by shouting, not by arguing, but by existing in such control that the world bends around your stillness. The room grows quieter, your enemies grow hesitant, and your name begins to carry weight, not because you fought for it, but because you never explained it. Because every time you could have defended yourself and didn't, you added another stone to the fortress of your presence. Machiavelli didn't care about being good, he cared about being in control. And the one who never defends himself, he is always in control, always untouchable, always feared, because he knows the truth. You do not win by proving your innocence. You win by never stepping into their trial in the first place. You do not play defense. You let others exhaust themselves trying to hit what cannot be touched. The world will tell you to fight for your reputation, to clear your name, to make people understand. But that is the trap. Because the moment you start chasing innocence, you admit guilt. The moment you beg for clarity, you admit their judgment matters. The moment you explain, you declare submission. And in the Machiavellian game, submission is death. Power belongs to those who never defend. Power belongs to those who never explain. Power belongs to those who let silence speak for them until silence becomes myth. And in myth, there is fear. And in fear, there is control. That is the highest form of power, the kind that does not fight for approval because it does not need it, because it